them in the nuts. Stomp them in the nuts. I'ma stomp them in the nuts. 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 I'ma stomp them in the.
Yo, what's good? So I'm very excited about Luis Ortiz and the heavyweight division. I think it's popping. I think it's the perfect time for new stars to be born. And if the heavyweight division is doing well, I think that signifies something great for boxing as a whole. And I hope Luis Ortiz gets the big shots that he, I was going to say deserves, but maybe he doesn't deserve them just yet. Or maybe he does. He beat a top contender in a fashion that if you want to make an impact in a division, that's the way you do it. You knock him the fuck out. That's what he did. So, Jennings went 12 rounds with Klitschko, and he was the longest reigning heavyweight champion since Larry Holmes. That's saying something, and Ortiz just knocked him out, man. Almost knocked him out in the first round. So, very impressed. But I want to get to it. Fans, boxing fans, man. Boxing fans are so funny, man. They're like no other. So I'm just saying that I want Ortiz to fight Wilder. That's the fight I really want to see because I think it's a great fight. It's a toss-up fight. I think either man could win it. And Ortiz is 36 years old. He don't got time to be fooling around fighting chumps for the next 5 years. He doesn't have the time. He's 36 years old. He deserves a shot, and he should be getting it in 2016. Because he's 36 years old, like I've said. And everyone else is already making excuses for it. I hate this. It's like we're fans of promoters. Oh, we can't do this. Golden Boy doesn't do business with PBC. Fury can't fight Wilder because PBC doesn't do business with anybody else but PBC. Oh my god. Why do we have to accept this, guys? I've said it before and I'll say it a million times. Why? We don't have to accept this garbage. I don't care who's at fault. I'm not a fan of PBC. I'm not a fan of Golden Boy. I'm not a fan of Frank Warren. Or I'm not a fan of any promoter. I want to see great fights. And if a great fight means that a promoter has to interact with another promoter, freaking get your act together, guys. You're professionals. You're businessmen. Why wouldn't you want to do business if it means generating good money and making good fights for the fans that'll want to come back to see your freaking product? Dummies. Well, fans, we accept it. We just say here now, oh, that fight can't happen. I guess Luis Ortiz will have to fight guys like Chris Arreola for the next 10 years. Oh, he can't fight Arreola because he's a freaking PBC. Hot garbage. With his age, he reminds me a lot of Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez started late in boxing. I think he was 20 years old when he started boxing. And he didn't win his first world title until he was, I believe he was 37. No, not 37, my bad. He was like, I think he was that old. He was pretty old. I'll say he was 35. I think he was 35. You know what? Let me check. He was 35. I just checked. Yeah, Ortiz reminds me of Sergio Martinez because he blew up in 2010 when he was 35 years old. He started late in boxing, like I said, and he was calling out all the big names. All the big names in his division, you know, like Felix Sturm, Pirog, some other fighters I can't think of at the moment, but he was one of 4 champions, and he never fought in a unification fight. He never fought him, but he was calling for the big fights. He was calling for Cotto, for Mayweather, for Pacquiao. He was calling for the big fights, for these guys to come up and fight him. He was beatable. He was 35 years old, guys. Cotto showed that he was beatable, that he was vulnerable. But for 3 years. For 3 years, he had to fight these young guys. Sergey Zinzirek, Darren Barker, Matthew Macklin, Chavez Jr., who was like 25 pounds heavier than he was. He had to fight through these guys. And it was until then that he had to get 2 knee surgeries after fighting Chavez and then after fighting Martin Murray that Cotto stepped up to the plate, which was his biggest fight. Cotto stepped up to fight a 39-year-old Martinez who had 2 knee surgeries, and I've never made an excuse for Martinez in that fight. Martinez won't make an excuse in that fight, neither will I. But if he fought him in 2010 or 2011, it might have been a different story. It might have been a different story. So where am I getting at? Martinez was ducked. He was a late starter. He was old. He was old to be barely coming up. And everyone ducked him until he was not a world-class fighter anymore. Until he was vulnerable. Until he was old. He was 39. So Ortiz being 36, he's got very little time to make an impact in boxing. Very little time. I know in the heavyweight division, boxers last a little longer than they would maybe in the lower weight classes, but 36, man, that's still old. Even in this day and age, you're old if you're 36. So, guys, let's call for these fights. Let's call for good fights. Let's freaking make these promoters ashamed of themselves because they won't make the fights that the fans want. Let's not accept their garbage. Let's not accept they're acting like children, man. I got beef with this guy. Come on, man. Imagine that happens in the NFL. Oh, Cowboys and Eagles can't play because Jerry Jones got beef with the owner of the Eagles. You know how stupid that sounds? They have to play, regardless of their feelings. Man, it's it's really a shame, especially when you got proud fighter like Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, all these guys being in the promotions, Bernard Hopkins, and they're letting their feelings get ahead of themselves and not fighting these guys. Step up to the plate, man. 2016, PBC, come on. Do some business with somebody else. Do business with Golden Boy. If it means getting good fights, do business. Doesn't mean you gotta hold hands after the fight saying kumbaya, man. It just means you make good fights for the fans. So people get back to boxing. Hashtag get back to boxing. Shout outs to Jeff Cotto and 10 players. Shoot, man. What do you guys think about this? Is the comparison fair? What do you think? Thank you to everybody for watching. Gotta have a great day.